Welcome back to Inherited Dawn, a One Piece podcast.
We are your hosts. I'm Robin.
And I'm Franky. Today, we're diving deep into Chapter 119, Usopp's Lie.
A title that is both literal and deeply thematic. It speaks not only to a specific falsehood told in a moment of panic, but also to the larger deceptions at play on this ancient island.
Oh, absolutely. And this chapter ends with one of the most disrespectful, most infuriating, most downright cowardly moments we've seen so far. A 100-year duel of honor, a battle between literal giants who have dedicated their lives to this ritual, gets sabotaged by a guy in a flamingo shirt making the ground slippery. It's a cosmic-level prank call in the middle of a sacred ceremony.
The ultimate dishonor. Mr. 3, who seems to be the strategist of this group, has officially made his entrance, and his methods are as insidious as his title implies.
He's not here to fight fair, he's here to win. And if that means putting a banana peel under the foot of a legend, he'll do it with a smile. If you want to follow every dirty trick and grand duel with us on this journey, make sure you're subscribed to the pod. You do not want to get left behind like Luffy under a mountain.
A very specific, very accurate fear. Let's begin at the start of the chapter, with Usopp and Nami having just witnessed the departure of the giant warrior Brogy.
Right, so Usopp is giving Brogy this huge send-off, the classic warrior salute, arm across the chest, fist clenched. He is absolutely living for this moment. You can see it in his eyes. This is like a kid from our world meeting a real-life superhero. These giants from Elbaph are the pinnacle of what he dreams of becoming. He's seeing his heroes in the flesh, and they are even bigger and cooler than he could have imagined.
It's a moment of pure, unadulterated awe for him. But then reality sets in with the force of a T-Rex. Nami, ever the voice of reason and self-preservation, wants to head back to the ship immediately, and Usopp's fantasy bubble just pops. He immediately remembers they're on an island where the food chain considers them a light snack.
And he just flat out says it. I can't fight them all off. It's that perfect Usopp mix of knowing his own limits, but still having the dream. He doesn't try to puff out his chest and pretend. He promises one day he'll be a proud warrior of the sea, strong enough to command a fleet of giants. But that day is not today. Today, he's the guy who has to run from velociraptors.
It's a remarkably honest moment for him, and it shows significant growth. In Syrup Village, he would have invented a story about how he'd already defeated 10 dinosaurs that morning. Here, standing in the shadow of his idols, he can't bring himself to lie about his own strength. The gap between the man he wants to be and the man he is right now is a canyon, and he knows it. He's not lying to himself anymore, which is arguably the most important step.
That's a great point. He's surrounded by what he idolizes, literal giants, the ultimate warriors. This whole island is a test for him, a measure of his spirit, and right now he feels like he's failing. So Nami, ever the practical one, decides they'll just avoid the dinosaur-infested jungle and go find Luffy at Dorry's camp instead. A much safer plan. In theory.
In theory, which takes us right to that camp where Luffy has having a problem of his own.
A mountain-sized problem. I mean, come on. Dorry just picks up the entire mountain skull thing, the landmark that defines his camp, and slams it down on top of Luffy to keep him from interfering. Just casually pins him with a geological formation. The scale of this is amazing. It's really showing us what a casual display of strength from a giant looks like. That skull is probably the size of a small town.
And what's so telling is that Luffy isn't even mad about being trapped. He's not yelling, "Get this off me!" His priority isn't his own freedom, it's the fairness of his new friend's fight.
Exactly. He can't wrap his head around it. He's yelling, "You're going to die. You drank that rum. You can't fight like this." He can't understand why Dorry would go to a duel he knows is unfair, a duel he might lose because he was poisoned. And Dorry's explanation is just, "My God wills it. This is the highest honor of Elbaph." It's a completely different operating system.
This is our first real, substantial window into the culture of Elbaph, and it is fascinating. It's not just about being strong or winning fights. It's a code, a warrior's honor so absolute that dying in a preordained duel, even a disadvantaged one, is infinitely preferable to avoiding it. To shirk the duel would be to lose your soul, to dishonor your entire life and the god you worship. Dying is the lesser of two evils.
Luffy's brain just cannot compute that. It's a blue screen of death for his moral code. For him, honor is protecting your friends. It's fighting for what's right. It's paying someone back for a meal. It's tangible. This idea of dying for a rule, for a god he can't see, for a tradition that says you have to fight even when you're cheated, it makes absolutely no sense to him. He'd just find the cheater and kick their butt.
And Vivi is watching all of this unfold, her expression a mixture of shock and dawning realization. She's just stunned that Luffy, this goofy pirate captain, is this deeply emotionally invested in the safety of a giant he met a few hours ago.
She's seeing the real Luffy for the first time, not the idiot who gets stuck in things, but the man with an ironclad sense of loyalty. The guy who will literally try to stop a mountain from moving for someone he's decided is his friend. It doesn't matter how long he's known them, an hour, a day, a week. Once you're in, you're in. That's the captain. We saw it with Zoro, with Nami, with Sanji, and now with Dorry.
This is the man she's betting the future of her entire kingdom on. And in this moment, watching him scream for a giant's honor from under a rock, she's starting to understand what that actually means. It means his loyalty is absolute and non-negotiable.
And while all this honor and friendship and shouting is happening, we cut to the slimiest, most art-directed corner of the forest. Baroque Works has arrived.
Mr. 3, Miss Golden Week, and the returning Mr. 5 are all there. And the most chilling part? They have photographs. Not crude drawings, but clear, developed photographs. They know the faces of Monkey D. Luffy, Rora Noah Zoro, Nami, and of course their primary target, Nefertari Vivi.
They're not just stumbling around. This is a coordinated, intelligence-led operation. They knew who to look for. That rum exploding wasn't just a random act of violence. It was step one of their meticulously crafted plan. This elevates Baroque Works from a simple group of bounty hunters to something more akin to a spy agency.
They are agents of a massive criminal syndicate. Of course they have intel. Mr. Crocodile doesn't do things by half measures. His entire operation in Alabasta is built on misinformation and strategic manipulation. This is just a microcosm of his philosophy. Their plan is simple. Take out the giant Dorry first, then, with him out of the way, lure the rest of the Straw Hats into a trap.
And the agent in charge is Mr. 3. This isn't a bruiser like Mr. 5. This is a strategist, a man who calls himself an artist. His devil fruit, what seems to be the wax fruit, is about creation, deception, and control. This is a whole different level of threat. We've fought brutes and swordsmen. We haven't fought a puppeteer.
It's a perfect matchup for this island's environment as well. A confusing primeval forest is the ideal stage for a trickster, a place where you can't trust your own eyes, which we see almost immediately.
Oh yeah, we cut to Zoro, who is, and I want everyone to act surprised, completely lost. He was hunting a triceratops for food, and now he has no idea where he is. A tale as old as time. The man could get lost in a straight hallway.
And then he sees a familiar figure leaning against a tree. It's Nami, but something is immediately off. She doesn't say anything. She doesn't wave or call out. She just smirks at him. It's a cold, confident expression that is entirely out of character for her in this situation.
It is so creepy, just this silent, weirdly confident Nami. And Zoro, with his non-existent sense of direction and probably a below-average sense of emotional nuance, just thinks she's being weird. He has no reason to suspect it's not her. He probably thinks she's mad at him for getting lost again.
This is almost certainly one of Mr. 3's waxwork creations, but we can't forget that Miss Golden Week is with him. Her power seems to be related to painting. I wonder if she can literally control people's emotions with her colors. That smirk might not just be sculpted wax. Maybe it was painted on to have a specific effect, to make Zoro feel at ease or lower his guard, drawing him in without suspicion.
That's a terrifying combination. The wax man and the emotion painter. One makes the body, the other gives this unnatural, manipulative aura. It's a perfect matchup for someone like Zoro, who relies on his instincts. His instincts are being chemically and visually hacked. And just like that, Zoro is gone. He's been captured off screen.
At the exact same time, the real Nami is in a full sprint, running for her life from a different dinosaur with Usopp. Classic Little Garden experience. They get separated in the chaos, and she too sees a familiar figure leaning at a tree. It's Luffy.
She thinks she's safe. You can see the relief on her face. She runs up to him, probably about to yell at him for lazing around while she's being chased by prehistoric monsters, and then her face just contorts in terror. She lets out this blood-curdling scream that echoes through the forest.
Whatever she saw, it wasn't Luffy. It was another one of Mr. Three's creations. Perhaps this one was more overtly monstrous, a caricature of Luffy designed to shock, or perhaps it was just the dead, waxy emptiness in its eyes. Either way, the effect is the same. And now, Nami is gone too.
Usopp just hears the scream. He doesn't see what happened. He can't see her. And in that moment, all his talk of being a brave warrior, all his admiration for the giants, just evaporates. He does what any terrified normal person would do in that situation. He runs.
He doesn't check. He doesn't call her name. He doesn't fire a single shot. He just bolts out of the woods, pure adrenaline and fear propelling him, and finds Luffy and Vivi at the dueling site.
And this is where the chapter title comes into play. Usopp screams, gasping for breath, that Nami was eaten by a dinosaur. It's a lie born from pure, unadulterated terror. He admits it a moment later. He didn't actually see it happen. He was too scared to look. But in his mind, in that horrifying moment, the scream plus the dinosaur could only mean one thing.
It's so painfully human. He's completely overwhelmed by a situation far beyond his capabilities. His mind filled in the blanks with the worst possible thing, and now he's reporting that assumption as fact. It's a defense mechanism. It's easier to process a terrible certainty than an unbearable, unknown horror.
You can't even be mad at him. I mean, I feel for the guy. He is out of his depth in a way that is almost impossible to imagine. He's just a normal guy on an island of monsters, giants, and now clandestine agents with bizarre powers. Of course he ran.
But his lie, however understandable, immediately starts causing the chaos that Baroque Works wanted. Luffy and Vivi hear this, and for them, the pieces connect in the worst possible way. The exploding rum targeting Dorry, Nami's sudden disappearance. Vivi says it right away. Did Baroque Works send someone after us?
The pieces are clicking into place for them, but they're working with fatally bad information. They think Nami's dead, not captured. They think the enemy is just killing them off one by one. The psychological pressure is immense.
And then Usopp finds out about Dorry's internal injury from the rum, and you can see the wave of guilt wash over him. He delivered that rum. He was the unwitting tool. He inadvertently helped the enemy weaken his hero right before the most important fight of his life.
It's just a complete mess. The crew is scattered, confused. One member is presumed dead and another is missing. The Baroque Works plan is working perfectly. Mr. 3 is playing them like a fiddle.
Which brings us to the duel itself. The volcano erupts, signaling the start. The two giants, Dorry and Brogy, finally clash.
And even with that internal injury, Dorry is holding his own. He's a super warrior. He's at a clear disadvantage. You can see him struggling, coughing up blood, but it's still a battle of titans. He parries Brogy's axe with his shield, the force of the blow sending shockwaves through the air. It's a proper fight.
For a moment, yes, it is a genuine contest of wills, a century of rivalry playing out. But then, Mr. 3, watching from the sidelines like a theater critic, decides it's time for the final act.
This part made me so mad. He just casually creates this little patch of slippery white stuff from his fingers. It looks like wax. He doesn't even move. He just flicks his wrist and this tiny, insignificant trap appears right under Dorry's foot as he's planting himself to block the next blow.
Dorry's foot, which has stood firm on that patch of earth thousands of times before, slips.
His stance is broken for a fraction of a split second. His balance is compromised.
And that's all Brogy needs. 100 years of fighting. He knows every opening, every tell. He brings his axe down expecting the usual resistance from Dorry's shield, but because of the slip, the block is weak. The axe cleaves right through the shield and deep into Dorry's shoulder. It's a direct, devastating hit. Dorry goes down, not because he was outfought, not because he was outmatched, because some guy with a 3 on his head made him slip on a wax puddle.
It is the ultimate insult to 100 years of combat. This sacred tradition, this ritual of honor that has defined their entire lives, was just invalidated by a cheap, pathetic trick. It's like rigging a championship boxing match by putting marbles in one fighter's corner.
It's foul. It's disgusting. It completely spits on everything Dorry was just telling Luffy about the honor of Elbaph, about the will of his god. This is the exact opposite of that. There is no honor here. There is no glory. It's just a dirty win orchestrated by a coward hiding in the bushes.
And the worst part, the true tragedy of the scene, is that Dorry doesn't know. He's gonna stand over his fallen friend, his rival of a century, and believe he won. He'll let out a triumphant roar, celebrating a victory that was orchestrated by the very people hunting his new friends.
He thinks he just proved himself the stronger warrior, but he was just a pawn, a tool used by Mr. 3 to achieve an objective. It's heartbreaking. Brogy won the battle, but he lost the entire point of the duel. It's been rendered meaningless. Super disgusting. It's worse than just killing him. It's corrupting the very meaning of his and Dorry's existence.
This is the philosophy of Baroque Works laid bare. Honor is a foolish liability. Tradition is a weakness to be exploited. 100-year duel is just another variable to be manipulated. All that matters is the result. And right now, the result is one giant down and the Straw Hats in complete disarray.
An absolutely masterful, technically brilliant plan by Mr. 3, and a truly despicable, gutless way to end a legendary fight.
It sets the stage for a very different kind of battle. This isn't going to be won with a gum-gum pistol. This isn't about strength anymore. It's about outsmarting an enemy who plays by no rules at all.
I have a feeling Luffy is not going to appreciate that fighting style one bit. When he gets out of under that rock, he is going to be displeased.
Let us know in the comments who you think has the more sinister power set so far. Mr. 3 with his tangible, creative, and deceptive wax creations, or Miss Golden Week with her intangible, insidious, emotion-altering paints. It's a fascinating question of physical versus psychological warfare. We'd be fascinated to hear your arguments.
All right, it's that time. Time for predictions. What do you think is coming in chapter 120, The Demon's Curse? Ooh, spooky title.
Okay, that title is intriguing. My first thought is that we are going to see the full extent of Mr. 3's trap, his art gallery. He wouldn't just capture Zoro and Nami and put them in a cage. He's a theatrical man. I'm picturing a full-on wax sculpture exhibit in a clearing in the woods, a twisted gallery where he has them posed, encased in wax. And this is where Miss Golden Week comes in. He'll use her paints to make them look serene or happy while they're trapped, as a form of psychological attack against Luffy and the others when they find them.
Ooh, that is dark. A living wax museum. I like it. For my first one, I'm focusing on Luffy. He's still under that mountain skull. He is going to get out, but not by just shattering it with a punch. That's too simple, and he's probably pinned too tightly. I think he's going to do something weirdly rubber-specific that only he can do. Maybe he'll inflate his whole body like a balloon to slowly, painstakingly push it up. Or maybe he'll find a tiny crack, squeeze his arm through it, and slingshot his entire body out from underneath. It's going to be a clever, problem-solving escape, not a brute force one.
That feels right. A problem-solving moment for Luffy is always a treat. My second prediction is about Brogy. I don't think he'll just accept this victory and move on. Something will feel fundamentally wrong to him. The way Dorry fell, the lack of resistance at the last second, the way his axe went through the shield. He knows his rival's movements better than his own. He will start to question his own win. That seed of doubt will be what eventually turns him against Baroque Works when the truth is revealed. He won't be celebrating for long.
Yeah, you don't fight a guy every day for 100 years and not know exactly how his foot should land. He'll feel it in his gut that the landing was wrong. Okay, my final prediction is for Usopp. This is his chapter. He is at his absolute lowest point right now. He lied, he ran, he feels responsible for Dorry's injury. Seeing the truth of Mr. Three's interference, seeing this blatant act of cowardice and deception is going to snap something in him. This is where he stops running. He's going to see what they did to his heroes, and he is going to stand and fight. I think he's going to take on one of the Baroque Works agents directly, maybe Mr. Five, to prove to himself and to everyone that he can be the brave warrior of the sea he dreams of being. This is his crucible moment.
The crucible for the future great warrior Usopp. It seems like a fitting place for it to begin, here, in this land of giants and demons. He must confront his own inner cowardice to become the warrior he idolizes.
It has to be. He's seen what true warriors are, and now he's seen what cowards are. He has to choose a side, not with his words, but with his actions. And I think he's about to make that choice.
And with that, we close the book on the deceit and dishonor of chapter 119.
Join us next time as we see if the Straw Hats can turn the tables on the artful assassins of Baroque Works. We will see you all next time for another episode of Inherited Dawn.